Out. Andrew? So when I stop, right, so when I stop it, I just go hit that and that stops it, right? Okay. Right, good, thank you guys. Whenever you're ready, sir.
All right, are we live streaming this?
Yes.
And is it live now?
We're live now.
When I was in Vietnam, it meant peace, I think, but I was thinking victory, but it didn't work out.
Is today?
No, tomorrow.
You knew what I was thinking.
I know exactly what you were thinking. It's tomorrow.
Bad, Nicole. Knows what I'm thinking before I even say it.
I thought you were talking about my birthday. It's next Saturday.
Oh, sorry, Jim. That's really what I was thinking. Not Pearl Harbor Day.
All right, you guys ready? All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this Monday, December the 6th public meeting of the Board of Garrett County Commissioners. I want to welcome all of our crowd here today. It's good to see so many people out. Welcome those that are tuning in online. If everyone would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then Commissioner Tichenor will lead us in the invocation. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you would join me in a word of prayer. Precious and loving Heavenly Father, Lord, we just come to you today thanking you for all that you've done for us. And Lord, we especially thank you that we're celebrating 150 years that Garrett County has existed. And Lord, we thank you for that, and we thank you for all those that are here today to partake in that. And Lord, we just ask that everything we say and do here today will be pleasing to you, and we do all this in thy most precious holy name. Amen.
Please be seated. Mr. Knoll, any additions, deletions, or changes to public meeting agenda?
No, sir, there are none.
Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Motion and a second, agenda approved by mutual consent. Everybody got a copy of the minutes in advance of the meeting. Are there any questions or concerns to the minutes? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
I have a procedural question for you. I wasn't at that meeting. Can I second the minutes?
You probably should not, but yes, you can, but I will second that. So any question on the motion? Hearing none, the minutes are approved by mutual consent. The first item on our agenda is our typical update of COVID by Bob Stevens. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, commissioners, members of the gallery. I'm going to give you a COVID update, but I'm also going to give you a little bit of a health department update as well. Currently, we've had 3,910 cases of COVID since the beginning of the pandemic. Our 7-day positivity rate is 15.1%, and our 7-day case rate is now at 74%. That's really high. 51.9% of the population that's over 12 has been vaccinated, and about 77% of our 65 and older population is vaccinated. We've had 85 deaths so far that are COVID related. Up until August, we really had one of the very lowest COVID rates in the state. Since then, we have had the highest or the next to highest. And the reason for that, it has to do with three things. One's the virulence of the Delta strain, low vaccination rates, and then the other factor is that until recently, we had the lower average persons with antibodies in it than other jurisdictions. So that was because we did not have a lot of the disease here until since really August. And so when you combine that with low positivity rates and the fact that we don't have a lot of people with the antibodies that are naturally occurring, our case rates have really been higher, and we're kind of leveling out with a lot of the other rural jurisdictions. Just to speak about the Omicron virus, it has been detected in Maryland. Last I had heard, there were 3 cases. Typically, the new strains, when they come through, they get to us a little bit later than all the other counties in the state. We're hoping that's the case. So the surge will be in the eastern ends of the state, and then we'll get it here in Western Maryland. It appears that it's more virulent than other strains so far, but we're not really sure about if it's more deadly. And so that's what we're all waiting for because it is such a new strain. From a public health standpoint, the best thing for the community is to increase the vaccination rate so that the virus has no place to spread. And so we're still recommending that for the population is to continue to get vaccinated. Nearly every pharmacy in the county is vaccinating. We continue to vaccinate the health department. We have a clinic tomorrow. People can walk into that clinic. We have a clinic in Grantsville on Friday, and also we'd like people to register going to our website, but if you can walk in, that's fine. And then the other thing is that we have our hospital, we have a weekly update with them, and they're really feeling the strain. Their inpatient rate is not all that high, but they have a lot of people showing up for the monoclonal antibodies, and that's averaging between 40 and 50 people per week, and that's a process that's very staff intensive. It's really hard on their nursing staff, and the monoclonal antibodies are really important, but you know, the best thing for them would be if there were fewer people that were coming to them.
So do you only get that if you're infected and you have the virus?
Yes, yes. So that's there. It can be given prophylactically, but for the most part right now, it's really just the people who are high priority list for that. Over 65 have some kind of immunocompromise, obesity, diabetes, and those categories. People that if they get COVID, there's a high likelihood that they'll be hospitalized, and so that's how they prioritize that. They can't give it to everybody. So the other thing, what I wanted to bring to everybody's attention today is that there was an internet security threat over the weekend that our staff detected on Saturday. And it came in through the Maryland Department of Health. Our staff responded right away, so they've been working all weekend long and have been collaborating with the staff from the county in order that we can have continuity of operations. Basically what's happened is all of the machines that are Garrett County Health Department or Maryland Department of Health machines are shut down. That includes printers, laptops, desktops. People can still use cell phones, and they can use their own personal computer if it has never been connected to the MDH system. So we've gone from having about 148 workstations down to 10 workstations. Also, our phone system is voice over IP. The way that works is there's a license that lasts for about 7 days, and then it updates. And so the server that it's on has been quarantined. If that server is not brought back on, then our phone system will go down in the next few days, and then we'll have to develop that contingency. So Maryland Department of Health is working on it statewide. It's really impacting all of their systems. Local health departments are kind of the low man on the totem pole when it comes to MDH. They need to bring up medical assistance. They need to make MA makes up 75% of the Maryland Department of Health budget. So they're going to be bringing them online first, and a lot of the other areas there. But we would just say you may be getting phone calls that the health department's not answering phones or different things like that, because that is what's happening. It's best if people can continue to register for our program by going to the website. Our website is the best place for information, and we'll continue to update it.
All right, questions for Bob?
Yeah, test kits, COVID test kits.
Yes.
I know the local pharmacies are out of them, the library's out of them.
Well, the library is gonna be, we have the expert back here. They picked them up this morning, and they're almost out, right?
Yeah, the main library is out, Grantsville is out, the other three still have them as far as I know, but they'll run out any second.
So, did you say some have been delivered to, that are,
Yes, these are take-home test kits,
Yes.
and we are using the libraries to distribute those because it's really the most equitable way to get them across the county, and they're really good at providing education. I mean, that's what they do. And so it's a great partnership with them, but they go pretty quick. We're continuing to test daily, and so we didn't have to close down our testing operations, but we're testing 5 days a week at the health department. The only clinic that was affected that we had to totally close down was our dental clinic for 1 day, and we're hoping to have them back online tomorrow.
just a quick follow-up, is there a limit on how many a person can pick up?
Yes, 4.
Okay, thank you. And one other thing, I read, I think it was yesterday or today, that the vaccination rate is at an all-time high. There were, I forget, like 2 million people vaccinated. Have we seen any evidence of that here, that vaccinations are picking up?
It's picking up gradually. You know, with us, it's 2 or 3 tenths of a percentage every week. So, you know, what that translates into is 40 to 50 people that are fully vaccinated. So that's what we go by. And then primarily what we're doing is, and seeing in our vaccination clinics, where tomorrow we'll probably give close to 300 vaccines. 90% of those are going to be boosters.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda, we have a franchise agreement with Comcast for internet. This was brought to us by the IT department. This agreement would cover all of the unincorporated areas of Garrett County serviced by Comcast. The agreement, the county would grant Comcast non-exclusive franchise authorizing Comcast to construct and operate cable system in the public ways within the franchise area. Comcast Cable will pay the county a franchise fee equal to 5% of annual gross revenues received from that, and then that revenue will be turned around and allocated for broadband expansion in the county. Any questions on the franchise agreement? Hearing none, do we have a motion to adopt the Comcast Cable franchise agreement?
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Motion is second, question on the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, next item on the agenda, we have a funding request for Meals on Wheels. I saw Dwayne come in. Dwayne, do you want to talk about that? Or?
No, as a result of what happened around COVID and the pandemic, the number of homes or seniors that we were delivering meal to in 2020 far exceeded our budgeted amount of money. And that was all due to a lot of the elderly staying in their homes and not participating in our, for instance, our Congress meal fight. So the difference in the request was $144,000. That was the deficit, and that's what we're asking for help on. I can respond to questions if you.
Any questions for Dwayne?
How many additional meals was that?
Say again.
How many additional meals was that?
There were.
Just curious.
17,036 at $8.70 a meal.
That's a great program.
Any other questions for Dwayne? Discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to fund the Meals on Wheels program to the tune of $144,806.
Make a motion to accept that.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Motion is second, question on the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for all that you do, helping out our seniors, but in everything else as well. Okay, next item on the agenda. We have been approached on and off really for the last several years, but more intensely lately, to consider hiring our own fire marshal in Garrett County. Garrett County is one of 13 counties in the state where the state fire marshal's office handles all the day-to-day stuff, reviewing the prevention plans, sprinkler systems, fire prevention, inspections, etc. The COMAR does allow counties the ability to create their own fire marshal office with under the auspice of the state fire marshal, but they would pick up some of those duties and be headquartered here, obviously right in the county. The fire marshal through the county would manage and review the inspections and requirement for the fire protection code. The next step in this, if we're going to entertain that idea, is to make a motion to authorize the county administrator to proceed in developing a memorandum of understanding, working with the state fire marshal, what that may look like, and develop a plan to hire necessary staff, which would pick up those duties here. Any questions, discussion, concerns? Hearing none, do we want to make a motion to give Mr. Knoll the authority to begin developing that?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Question on the motion or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So the next step is you'll talk to the state fire marshal's office, get more information on that, start developing an MOU and looking at the ins and outs of that.
And then everything will come back to you all for a final approval, and a recommendation and a final approval to move forward or not.
So do we have any feel for the timeline? I know people are going to be asking us how long this process will take.
My guess, it's going to be 4 to 6 months.
Thank you.
All right. That brings us to the conclusion of the business part of our meeting. Before we take public comment or question, the next scheduled public meeting is Tuesday, December the 21st. And then at the conclusion of this meeting, we do have the kickoff for the Sesquicentennial, Garrett County's 150th anniversary. So we'll get into that shortly. Now's the time for any public comments.
I have something concerning the Sesquicentennial, and maybe I should wait a little bit. Or...
Well, no, if we'll go ahead and take that now. If you would be so kind to come up to the podium so that people at home can see you, state your name, and then make your comments, please.
These flags can still be used. One's 1872 and the other one's 2022. One says Garrett County, the other says Garrett Central, 2022. It's probably a family that's done as much or more than any other family in Garrett County ever since 1874. And 2 years after the county was formed from Allegheny County. So they're very influential. Anytime you run a newspaper, you're going to know the whole county. You're advertising, you're doing things for them. And I know Don Sensel, he volunteers for everything. He's in everything that you can name. Volunteer fire department. He's in the high school alumni group. He's a lay minister for the Lutheran Church. He fills in for pastors in the Lutheran Church. He ski patrol. He's just done soccer refereeing now, I think. I guess the soccer season's over at Laughlin. But he's, and his mother's 93. I was there, happened to be on her birthday with the family on G Street, Mount Lake Park. 93, sharp as a tack. You wouldn't think she's 39 instead of 93. And they do so much with Chautauqua, they do so much with anything you name, they've been in it. They are trying to do an equalization project for the county. I think Mary Sensel McEwen, I hope I pronounced it right, does this for the county, and she's had a bout with cancer lately, so it's been really rough. She portrayed at Chautauqua her great grandmother, Lillian Tay Sensel, great artist, and this family's just so talented, and I don't know anyone else. There's been the Brownings, and they've had quite a history. This Meshach Browning, the hunter, famous hunting book. The Brownings have done lots of things with their store business, Deer Park, later Oakland, Mountain Lake, and A.D. Nailers. You know, you hear about Brennemans and Foxes and different ones throughout the county, but I don't think you. And Garrett was named after a man who helped bring the railroad through, President John Garrett. Excuse me, I'm going to have her distribute these. I talked to her earlier today, and she told me.
Yeah,
Not
she's
me.
thinking, yeah, she probably shouldn't. I'll do it.
Okay, but this is basically what I'm talking about. I've got some 11 by 17 displays, double-sided from the print shop also, that I could set up, and about all the qualifications and deeds this family has done. And I think the one of them that I put down after 47, I looked in the paper there, the Republican one day, and there was Don Sensel giving his 23rd gallon of blood donating. And I thought, man, that must be the record for the county or the state. And that's the kind of thing they do. He's been doing that since he was 20 years old. And 5 generations have worked with the newspaper. This newspaper is the county's paper. It wasn't named by them, it was named by a Civil War officer, Union officer, and he named the paper the Republican. So they just kept the name. So it's not necessarily always their party affiliation. I know Don voted Democratic a few times, but that family needs recognized. And they named this county after a man that only lived 12 years after the county was formed. 1884, John Garrett died. He was influential. And the southern part of the state was settled first. The biggest population settled in the southern part of the county because of the railroad. That was the big thing. And Oakland was the county seat, 1849. Now, the northern part had the national road, Route 40, and Grantsville and so on. But in Friendsville, I think it's the first settlement in Garrett County of any nature. The Drain House at Accident is the oldest living structure. I was taking pictures. I've traveled all over the county this summer, so I guess y'all call me Traveling Kelv, short for Kelvin. But anyway, I really enjoyed it, and I might do a little piece for the paper. Editor Joe Hogger mentioned that perhaps I can do a bi-weekly and show some pictures and mention this. But oh, excuse me, I meant to have these up here. I really needed an assistant. My wife couldn't come.
Thank you.
I should have even mentioned the honorable. I'm way out of line here, so I'm way behind. You're even getting your pamphlets last.
That's fine. All right.
But now another thing is this doesn't have to be a big strain on the county's budget. It can be grandfathered in. When I say that, a road sign, Garrett County, and by the way, there's no way in the world I'd want it to go to West Virginia. It should stay in Maryland, along with Allegheny and Washington. I was a little hesitant to put that in the newspaper because I thought the Central's a bit blamed for some of that, wanting to leave Maryland and go to West Virginia. So I postponed and held it up, and I'm glad Joe did that for me. Thank you, Joe. And but it had been a newspaper. This what I have essentially is what I had for the newspaper, and it all started really from an article by Fred Fox over in Friendsville back in March. I saw this article, and it got me thinking. It got me preparing for something of this nature that would boost the county. He said something ought to be done great for the county. Well, the last 75 years it's been the Central's being great. I noticed the Garretts are still around. There's only one in the phone directory. And the railroad station's now a museum. B&O's merged many times, but the Central's have been around all these years. And dating back, in fact, they even sold a woodworking and blacksmith shop to A.D. Naylor. That's Charles Central, and they in the 1880s. Benjamin started in 1886 at the newspaper, and then he bought it when he was 21 in 1890. 5 generations have worked with this, and I mean they know the county.
Dr. Febb, this is very interesting. We certainly appreciate all the study and work that you've put into putting this together, but your time's about up here. We have an agenda to get back.
I understand, yes.
But thank you.
But I particularly want to thank Mr. Robert Bowl. He was a history teacher I had at Southern Garrett High School, class of 70. And I'm going to applaud him and Mr. Feldstein at Chautauqua. They boosted my interest in history and boosted my interest in Mountain Lake Park, Loch Lynn, Garrett County, and Jim.
All right. Well, we do appreciate your time. Thank you very much. And
thank you for your time. But consider that. Keep the pamphlets and think about it. If it has to come to a vote like it did November 4th of 1872, I think it would go. And don't worry about Annapolis. This state, this county, we'd be the first one, not only the youngest county and the largest area size county, it also would be the first one with a name added onto it, a dash Central. Right. And as far as the grandfathering, if there's a name, the sign wears out, then take the Garrett down, put Garrett Central. If the courthouse window has Garrett, wait till it's put a dash on it, then Central. Garretts are still important. Now we need to add essentials.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Get us up to date.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any other comments or questions? All right. Hearing none, do we have a motion to adjourn the public meeting?
So moved.
All right. The public meeting is adjourned. We now want to focus our attention to the 150th anniversary kickoff. There are a lot of people in the room that have put a lot of time and effort into this already. This is going to take, obviously, a year to celebrate. So everyone that has had a hand in anything that's been going on thus far and moving forward, we appreciate. I do want to read a proclamation, and then we have a couple of guest speakers for the occasion. And then there'll be a little bit of a social out in the lobby at the conclusion of that. But the proclamation reads, the Board of Garrett County Commissioners hereby announces the official kickoff celebration of Garrett County's 150th anniversary and proclaims 2022 as the year of celebration throughout the county, signed by Commissioners Heimball, Tichenal, and myself. I know that starting in the new year, there will be several events in every community in the county to commemorate the occasion. There's some collector's items that will be out there, so on and so forth. So we do appreciate the work of all of the groups that have come together to put this on. So with that, I do want to introduce our first speaker for the occasion, I'm very honored to introduce Mr. Bob Bowl from the Garrett County Historical Society. As was previously mentioned, Mr. Bowl was a history teacher for a long time at Southern High School, and now works with the Historical Society. And Bob, would you like to come up and say a few words?
I will.
First, I would like to thank the commissioners and the committee that planned this for asking me to speak on the behalf of the Historical Society. I'm honored to speak on the occasion of the 150th anniversary of a county I love and have stayed in for 61 years. So with that said, I'm to give a special message to Mrs. Mary Callis. Mrs. Bowl says, "Don't call Bob, he'll call you." And this, Mrs. Bowl says, is my swan song. And which rightly it is. So Mary, there's the joke of the day.
That's me.
In terms of the creation of Garrett County, very little was done before Civil War. There were rumblings of discontent up here in the mountains that we didn't have enough representation. We were sort of the weak sister, but no movement ever occurred. With the end of the Civil War, that changed. What happened is this region, partly due to how underdeveloped it was, but largely due to the arrival of the B&O in the 1850s, began to boom. Agriculture boomed. The purchase of our timber and our coal boomed. And to a degree, Garrett Countyans felt our wealth and our resources were being taken out of here. And we should have more control over all of this. Families like Henry Gassaway Davis, who started really in Piedmont, moved up the mountain to Deer Park. After the Civil War, his family was buying up coal and timber interests everywhere, mostly Garrett County. Also, the Bryden family of Bloomington were buying huge amounts of coal land. And some of you, if you're close my age, might remember the Bryden Mansion at the foot of the mountain 135. It was an absolutely exquisite building. They were one of the wealthiest families in Garrett County. And I think they even gave a wing to the Garrett Memorial Hospital back a ways. Also, there were other developers. And that didn't always sit well. There also, after the Civil War, was this feeling developing. Not only were people coming in and taking over, but the bulk of the wealth was going to go to Allegheny County and not necessarily to us, even though a lot of those resources were ours. So the people started to get suspicious. What do we do about this? Things are not as they were before Civil War. People are moving in, resources are being mined and timbered. All this was happening, and it was controlled in Cumberland, Allegheny County, not here. So there was a movement in our glades and mountain area, which amounted to half of Allegheny County, to start thinking about, should it be this way? Or should we take over our own destiny? And it caught on slowly because this was a very remote area, and it would take something to stir the population toward this. It wasn't something that had been talked a lot about. But about this time, a man named E.S. Zevley, who is forgotten in history, moved into Oakland and opened the first newspaper west of Cumberland in the state of Maryland. And his name for the paper, no surprise, Glade Star. And I think most of you know Glade Star. It seems like Mr. Zevley didn't stay long. He was here in the early 70s for a year or two. He started at the perfect time because the awakening in Garrett County started about 1870. And Mr. Zevley picked up on that, and his Glade Star, he made a weekly paper. I think there are only 52 issues of it, and I don't know that we have one at the museum. But he got it out to the public free, and in today's language, he stirred the pot. He truly stirred the pot. He got things going. And he would print things like, and I don't know what year this was, but he was only operating in 1871, 1872. He, on one occasion, and I don't have backup to prove what he said, in one of his papers he said that Garrett Countyans that year had paid $28,000 in taxes to Allegheny County. Now, we weren't Garrett County. I would say the people of the mountaintop, and only received $19,000 back in subsidies. So he was saying, we are being used, we are underappreciated, we need to control our own destiny. And he kept it up. And he encouraged meetings, he encouraged all kinds of things that led to people giving this very serious thought. And some locals picked up on it, some very powerful locals. One was Patrick Hamill, who was a judge here, and the Hamill family is very, very early here, and is still here. One was a Colonel James Schley, and maybe Al Feldstein can say whether he came here from Cumberland. I seem to associate that name with Cumberland. Those two picked up the ball and ran with it for Oakland. Meshach Browning's grandson, Richard Browning, picked up the ball for Accident and kept it going. Jacob Brown of Grantsville got involved. He has written a very interesting book of things that were in the Allegheny County newspaper, Cumberland newspaper, of things that went on in the 1870s. These men lit the spark that brought the fire. They had the right contacts, the timing was right, and Mr. Zevley just kept encouraging them right on. And his editorials, his articles, he knew what he was doing, and he did it well. And it spread, and people who, before Civil War, were sort of oblivious to this, all of a sudden thought, well, now this is true. We need to do something about this. So in the 1870, 1871, early 1872 time period, all of these, I guess by today's terms we'd call them agitators. They aren't agitators really, they're people with a deep feeling for this Glade Mountain community. They started having, and this is funny because this sounds like today, not 1870, they started having community barbecues where they met and shared a meal and talked about what this area should be. After all, we were half of Allegheny County and we were neglected and we didn't have proper power. So the word spread and more people started attending the barbecues and the dinners. And then we had parades and then we had fireworks, and it turned into a movement that was very strong movement. And finally got enough traction to get the attention of Governor White of Maryland on the fact that we up here on the plateau needed support, that we were awakened, I think is the word. And so they also, the families here in the county who were very active in promoting this, they also started petition drives. And the General Assembly in Annapolis got hit with petition after petition after petition to create a new county, the western half of Allegheny County. Mr. Zevley picked that up. He picked up everything. He picked that up and he turned that into propaganda, but propaganda that favored us. He said that as far as he was concerned, and I need to look at my notes here a minute, 400 square miles of territory met the qualifications for a new county, and the minimum requirement for a population for a new county was 10,000. We had about 13, 14. So he convinced Garrett Countyans, yes, we deserve to be a new county. We meet the qualifications. Now we need to pressure the legislature and we need to pressure the governor. And used as a tool in all of this was the fact that Wicomico County on the Eastern Shore had just been created a couple of years before our agitation started here. So we had an example to point to. The Eastern Shore got a county. Why can't Western Maryland get a county? This would increase representation. And as John McGowan was telling me, there also was a little contest here. If the Eastern Shore is going to have more delegates, then the western part of the state ought to have more delegates. So that became an issue in all this. So many petitions arrived that finally in April of 1872, the General Assembly passed a bill that gave us the right to hold an election to determine what the people of Garrett County, not Garrett County, of Western Allegheny County wanted. The boundaries were basically the western boundary that existed, the northern boundary that existed, and a line like a slash from Savage Mountain to the mouth of the Savage near Bloomington. So there would be then an election, and it was scheduled for November 4th of 1872. It was held. A lot of people turned out. When you think that our population was not very large then, we did have a good turnout. And the results happened to be, and I have it written here somewhere. Let me find it here. 1,297 votes for a new county. And they had two choices. It could be Garrett County or Glade County. And they chose Garrett. And I think Garrett primed the pump because the word got out that he was very pleased and honored that that was a possibility. And he would see to it that Garrett County got a state-of-the-art railroad station. And I think we all know what that was, though it came a little later. Anyhow, that takes us through the election. Also at the election, we decided the name Garrett. We decided, yes, we will break away, we will separate, we will become a new county. But also, we had to decide the county seat, and that was a big issue. And there were many contenders, and Oakland won out by a mere 63 votes. And I think there was a little hanky-pank somewhere because Deer Park and Accident were talked into dropping out of the race because it was thought that their votes would draw from the Oakland votes. So, now you're not to tell that in Grantsville. Anyhow, Oakland was chosen by 63 votes to become the county seat. Then the governor, after the election was held and the results were known and all, set December 4th, just a couple days before today, 150 years ago, for Garrett County to become the newest county in the state of Maryland. And things started, the wheels started turning, and I want to read you something that the governor said, if I can find where I put it here. Governor White proclaimed the extreme western triangle of the state of Maryland a county, or has, and here's a quote from him, has become now constituted as a new county to be called Garrett County. The inhabitants there shall have and enjoy all such rights and privileges as are held and enjoyed by the inhabitants of other counties of the state. A county of 668 square miles. Work had to get in process right away because we didn't have a government building, we didn't have, we had a month. The election November, the governor's proclamation December. A lot of meetings, county commissioners, judges, whatever, were held at the Glades Hotel until it burned in 1876. By then, there was a courthouse under construction up here on the hill where you now see a new church that has just been built. It remained our courthouse until 1908, when this courthouse was completed. And after that, it became first a woman's academy, then Garrett County High School, then Oakland High School, then the Garrett County Board Office, and then got torn down a few years back. I got chewed out royally by a historian in Oakland because the Historical Society didn't protest that building being torn down. There is one part of one wall that was original to that courthouse, nothing else. But I got an earful of that. Anyhow, You just can't please all the people all the time. One little sideline that I should put in here. In the drawing of the boundary from Savage Mountain to Bloomington to the mouth of the Savage of the Potomac, whoever drew it on the first map used Little Savage Mountain, which did Garrett County out of 4,000 acres of very valuable land, both timber and coal. Garrett County protested, won the case, and in 1878, the boundary was changed eastward to Big Savage Mountain. Other than that, the process went well. The people of Allegheny County, my friend Al Feldstein probably tell you more about that. I think they were mostly very accepting of this. There didn't seem to be any problem. Anyhow, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And if you find any flaws in it, tell me. I'm always open to criticism. But happy birthday, Garrett County. 150 years.
Hey, Bob, on behalf of the committee, we appreciate your time and information you provided. We do want to give you some Garrett County maple syrup.
I can handle that, but my wife will hide it from me.
And also a commemorative pin, 150-year pin. And we thank you.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure to be there.
All right, next up is a man that probably doesn't need much of a introduction, or at least one anybody wants to hear about. I got to get one or two in on you because you get them in on everyone every time you get a chance to. Next, we would like to ask Al Feldstein to come up. Most of you know Al, local historian, has done a lot of work with local history, and appreciate you coming up today and sharing some words with us.
He is a great friend of Garrett County.
Well,
let me tell
you're
in every way.
I have nothing new to say here. No, I can't say enough about Bob Bowl. When I grow up, I hope to be just like him. A lot of what I'm going to say is already said, but I'm only going to take about a couple minutes. In January 1872, a number of residents from the western portion of Allegheny County sent a petition to the Maryland State Legislature requesting the creation of a new county. Advocates of the new county cited as their main reasons for this initiative the substantial distance from far western Maryland to the existing county seat in Cumberland, greater representation in the state's General Assembly, greater opportunities for local tax revenue, and more appropriate expenditures of public funds, something we're still trying to secure today. Okay, sorry. Okay. Two possible names were proposed for the new county, Garrett and Glade. Acting in compliance with this petition, a new county was established by the Maryland State Legislature on April 1st, 1872. Named after John Warwick Garrett, then president of the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, Garrett County was formed from the western section of Allegheny County and has the distinction of being the last county created within the state of Maryland. It was a constitutional requirement, however, that the final ratification of the county's creation be left up to the qualified voters of the territory. The question concerning the creation of a new county, as well as the people's choice for county seat, were both voted on in the November 4th, 1872 general election. Voters overwhelmingly approved the creation of the county by a vote of 1,297 to 405.
The popular choice of the electorate for the county seat was Oakland, which won out over rivals Grantsville and McHenry's Glades, the former by only 63 votes. On December 4th, 1872, Maryland Governor William Pinckney White proclaimed that the extreme western triangle of the state, quote, has become and is now constituted as a new county to be called Garrett County. In 1880, the first Garrett County census showed a population of 12,175 people. The county would owe much of its eventual development to the building of the Baltimore to Ohio Railroad through its mountains in 1851, 1852. Earlier development and settlements were the result of such transportation breakthroughs as the building of the nation's first federally funded and constructed highway, the National Road, from Cumberland, Maryland to Wheeling, Virginia, now Wheeling, West Virginia, between the years 1811 and 1819. Over 20 miles of this 132-mile road passes through the northern portion of present-day Garrett County. I'm going to close right now, but in closing, I do want to say, I simply say congratulations to Garrett County, and we should all look this good after 150 years. Thank you. Thank you.
Al, you also get a parting gift.
Oh, thank you.
We appreciate you taking the time and coming up today.
I'm honored. I am honored. And I've worked with most of you guys for decades, so thank you.
Thank you. All right. Yep, Sarah, we'll turn it over to you.
Hi, I'm Sarah Myers. I'm the Communications Coordinator for the Garrett County Government, and I just want to reiterate everyone's comments here. Welcome to the 150th celebration. Garrett was the last to be formed in Maryland, and to honor the occasion, we are going to be celebrating throughout 2022. So the theme of the events are celebrating 150 years, connecting communities, because that's what we feel Garrett County has done. It's all about involving residents, teaching and sharing, and being involved in the community we call home. We've been planning the celebrations now for a good 10 months. It's been a while, and we appreciate all the help and support of our committee members. So I'd like to thank the county employees, Mr. Kevin Knoll, Carol Riley Alexander, Kim Durst, Thomas Vos, the director of the Ruth Enlow Library System, Mary Callis, the executive director of the Garrett Lakes Arts Festival, Kim Folk, the director of the Mountain Maryland Gateway to the West Heritage Area, and John McGowan, the local historian. To celebrate throughout 2022, we want to share information and history at local community events. So you're going to see us around town, Grantsville Days, Friendsville Days, and other municipality events. But we want everyone to attend. We want the public to come out and see us, and to further incentivize residents and visitors to visit all corners of the county. We're releasing a set of 8 Vera Bronze commemorative coins for the anniversary, one for each of Garrett County's municipalities. We're happy to have the support of each of the towns too, because the front side of the coin is going to be John W. Garrett, the namesake for the county, and then the reverse of the coin was designed and submitted by each town. So each of the 8 coins will be different. So collect them all. And these coins, as well as coin holder booklets, will be offered free of charge at the community events throughout 2022. You can look for the complete schedule of events on our website, garrett150.com. And we invite you to participate. There's going to be a toolkit online with the logo and information, so you can create your own celebration around our events as well. We're looking for your participation. This has been a long time coming, so we want to invite the public to participate. So outside in the reception area, you will see a coloring sheet for you or your family to participate, what Garrett County means to you, and that's also on the website. And then also, we want you to save the date for a September community-wide initiative. So that's going to be a chance for us to come together. Activities will include a walking history tour, a tractor show, performances by local bands, and lots of local food and drinks. So please reach out to us if you have any questions, if you'd like to participate. And last but not least, please enjoy the refreshments outside of the public meeting room. So thank you.
All right, with that, we do invite you to the hallway to share in the refreshments. The robotics team has a display out here for Garrett County as well. Make sure you check that out, and thank you all very much for coming.
Can you get a copy of the commissioner's bubble and a committee or whatever for my personal Facebook and furnish?